Nearly $1 billion, that's the value of goods the feds have seized at U.S. ports of entry over suspected ties to forced labor. That, according to recent data from Customs and Border Protection. Lots of companies stand to lose millions while their goods remain in custody. CNBC's Andrea Day joins us now. Andrea, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Carl. So we went inside one of America's largest ports and saw firsthand this mountain of goods being detained. Everything from solar panels to bedding to floor tiles from some of the biggest brand names. Those companies now scrambling to prove their supply chain is clean. Take a look.
Wall to wall.
Millions of dollars worth of solar panels on its way into the U.S. and all stopped in its tracks.
An overwhelming amount of cargo.
Over here, a load of xanthan gum.
It's a 40-foot container full.
This is a top priority for CBP and for the department.
And on this side of the warehouse, boxes and boxes of vinyl floor tiles, halted.
This is not just a supply chain security issue for us. It is an economic security issue for the country.
Right now, we're in a warehouse where we conduct examinations.
Our cameras got exclusive access to Customs and Border Protection's battle to stop products produced with slave labor.
We're probably holding somewhere in the vicinity of 200 or so full container loads of this commodity, about $15 million.
All of it shipped to the Port of New York, Newark, and all of it detained. The team here at the port enforcing the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, ensuring goods made with forced labor in the Xinjiang region of China do not enter the United States.
This is modern-day slavery.
American companies now forced to deal with the consequences of a tainted supply chain.
It is challenging, especially when your supply chains go into China.
Anne-Marie Highsmith oversees trade at CBP headquarters in Washington, D.C., making the issue even more challenging for American companies.
The Chinese government has taken affirmative steps to obfuscate those supply chains and prevent businesses from learning the conditions under which those products are manufactured.
Her message to American businesses:
you need to know your supply chain.
During our visit at the port, 916 40-foot shipping containers filled with merchandise were under investigation.
That represents about $60 million.
And since late June 2022, nearly $1 billion worth of goods halted at the port. Topping the list, electronics, apparel, footwear, and textiles. So how does CBP track merchandise back to the region?
It's a combination of intelligence, information that's gathered from a variety of sources, all feeding into our expert cargo targeting systems.
We can't reveal any of the corporate names we saw detained. That info is protected by the Trade Secret Act, which says disclosing it could impact CBP's ability to enforce the law, as well as the company's reputation. All of the manufacturers we saw have been hit with detention notices, like this.
They have 30 days to come back to us and prove to us that these were produced without forced labor.
Out of more than 3,000 shipments detained since last summer, about 1/3 has been released to date. While a company works to prove it's not in violation of the new law, it's faced with another cost: storage fees.
This is one of 80 warehouses that are bonded to store high-risk cargo.
Customs gave CNBC cameras exclusive access to one of the warehouses, but asked us not to reveal its exact location. In this warehouse, about $20 million worth of solar panels being detained by CBP because of suspected ties to forced labor.
Solar panels are a big issue. The polysilicon is sourced out of the Xinjiang region.
Angela Santos is an attorney dealing with forced labor issues every day. Her clients, public and private companies in the solar, fashion, energy, and automotive industries.
They've received detentions. They just don't know if their supply chain includes goods produced with forced labor.
And this is so tough to navigate because the company can literally have thousands and thousands of direct suppliers and even more under that first tier. So say we're talking about a simple button-down shirt, for example. There can be suppliers for the thread and for the dye, more for the buttons. And, Carl, that list goes on and on. You wouldn't believe it.
Is the only solution here to stop using Chinese suppliers, period?
I don't think that's the answer, because if you look at the value of the most recent shipments that that Customs has detained at the port, they're mostly Malaysia and Vietnam. Now, that sounds surprising, right? It's not China, you might think. So why is that? It's because Customs has some reason to believe that those products coming in from Malaysia and Vietnam have raw ingredients from the Xinjiang region in China. So that's why there's this connection. So this supply chain is so convoluted and certainly tough for corporations to deal with right now, and costly.
Yeah, it must be very hard to be a customer right now.